Hello everyone, I'm doing another oracle reading. Today's deck is the Animal Guide Rune Cards. I got these from All Things Divine in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. They were very kind enough to point them out to me and say, hey, you work with the runes, we saw this deck, come and get it, you know. I'm like, thank you. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently today because this deck and the book that corresponds with it, it's very in-depth and there's a lot of information. I'm not going to read all of that because that would just take too long, but today's card is Othala, or today's rune is Othala, and if you can see really closely with the badger, I believe that's what it is, that's the symbol, that is Othala. And I'm just going to read the correspondences from the book because, like I said, there's a lot of information for each rune, and that would just take a little too long, and I want to keep your attention to some capacity. I want you to follow along. That's what I mean. So anyway, the keyword here is legacy, and the card iconography is tree roots, a badger, a dark brown, and earth tones. So if you tend to gravitate more towards those, pay better attention. The people that it corresponds with are family, ancestors, the elderly, an experienced person, superiors, someone very attached to family and family values, historian, genealogist, archaeologist, a little bit on the conservation side of things, dentist, art restorer, conservator of monuments, a collector, numismatist, that's the first time I've ever tried to pronounce that word, an expert on hand weapons, person living in the past, and a philatelist. Location, historical places, museums, castle, stronghold, open air museum, mausoleum, family tomb, family estate, attic or basement full of old souvenirs, display case, and homeland. This does tend to deal with history, so I do feel that this card is kind of telling us to, like, pay close attention to, like, what's going on with our government right now. When somebody is saying, you know, hey, this is a lot like XYZ, here's the examples as to why it's a lot like XYZ, you probably should be paying attention to why it looks a lot. Basically, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's not a fucking swan, okay? So that's what I'm basically saying. This card is a lot like the preservation of history and events, storytellers, you know, relaying history and one's roots, remembering where you come from, remembering the past, hopefully to not repeat the cycle, okay? Activities that correspond to this card is devote time to the family, strengthen ties, remember, collect, view old souvenirs, photograph, conserve, renovate, reconstruct historical events, recreate, and kind of dwelling in the past. This also does pertain to, like, aging and health care, muscle weakness, stiffness, memory, teeth, and nervous system. A lot, it does correspond with a lot, and I personally do feel like I'm getting called out a little bit because I do have an autoimmune disease. I live with lupus. I've been kind of on this, like, working up to this kick of trying to, like, get back into more physical activity and things like that because I want to live a good, productive life. You know, productive, fruitful, in my way of being productive and fruitful, not capitalism's way. So, but yeah, this card is basically remembering the past, remembering your roots, take notes, you know, remember what's going on, recall what's going on, and just pay close attention. You know, like I said, if it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, it's not a swan, okay? There's no way to prettify it. I mean, ducks are pretty cool, but, like, there's no way to prettify what's going on. There's no way to beautify what's going on. It's pretty shitty, actually. So, yeah, Othala, the keywords for it are tradition, family, and legacy. So this is also a card of, like, recall what, or, like, think about what you're going to leave behind. There's the old adage, I believe it's an indigenous phrase, leave the world better than when you found it, okay? Don't be a terrible person. you know, worry about the legacy that you're leaving behind. Are people going to look back on you fondly, or are they going to be like, yeah, the world's a better place without them? You know, I personally strive to be a decent person, do no harm but take no shit. This is basically what this card represents, what this rune represents. So, yeah, if that resonated with you, awesome. If it didn't, then oh well, you know, as people have said, I believe it's Alex Reed's Tarot, I'll tag her in the thing, she says, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And that I can't sum that up any better, so I'll just quote her. So anyway, yeah, that was today's rune of the day. Again, we drew Othala, and just at the core of it, worry about your legacy and pay attention to what's going on. Okay, so yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, and hopefully you have a happy Sunday. Bye.